Today we talk about how we can effectively regulate our emotions to live a more happy and fulfilling life. Oh. Just kidding. Emotions are at the center of everything we do. They color our experiences, influence our decisions, and shape how we connect with others. And let's be honest, most of us would prefer to maximize those pleasant emotions while avoiding the unpleasant ones. But life is much more complex than simply steering clear of all discomfort. Facing unpleasant emotions is part of being human. So today we are not going to dive into the philosophical question about living a fulfilling life. Instead, we're focusing on the practical tools you can use to navigate emotions with the help of breathwork and mindfulness. Let's start with a game-changing concept from the Buddhist philosophy, the two arrows of suffering. I want you to imagine walking through a forest. Out of nowhere, an arrow hits you. Bang! Painful, right? This represents the first arrow, the unavoidable pain of being human. Physical pain like stubbing your toe, burning yourself with coffee. Emotional pain like grief or fear or the loss of coffee. Or situational pain like losing a job or ending a relationship or spilling your coffee again. It's the fabric of life. But here's where it gets interesting. Instead of addressing the first arrow, you pick a second one and shoot yourself with it. This second arrow represents the mental suffering we create on ourselves. Why does this always happen to me? I can't handle this. This is so unfair. The stories we tell ourselves, the resistance. While the first arrow is unavoidable, the second arrow is optional. It's our mind's response to pain, and it often amplifies the discomfort. Understanding this distinction between pain and suffering is critical. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, we suffer more in our imagination than in reality. So, how do we stop shooting ourselves with the second arrow? The answer lies in awareness and intentional responses. Here's a framework to follow. Recognize the first arrow. When pain arises, acknowledge it. Don't resist or judge it. Simply notice. This is the first arrow. It's here. Interrupt the second arrow. Observe your reactions. Are you adding suffering by ruminating or blaming? Pause and choose a different response. Creating space between what happens and how you respond is where your power lies. This awareness softens unnecessary suffering and lets you meet life's challenges with greater clarity. Once we understand the two arrows, we can build a structured approach to emotional regulation using the acronym PAUSE, the PAUSE framework. PAUSE stands for pause, accept your emotion without judgment, understand its arousal charge, high or low energy, switch your energy state, evaluate your unmet needs. Let's explore each step in detail. The first step is pause. Take a moment to stop whatever you're doing to look inward. This isn't about avoidance, but about creating space to notice what's happening inside you. Use this pause to cultivate introspection and acknowledge the emotional response without reacting impulsively. To help this process, try sitting quietly and focusing on your breath for a few moments. Techniques like breath awareness is very helpful for that. A. Accept. Acceptance is key. Instead of resisting or judging your emotion, allow it to be part of your current state. Remind yourself that emotions are neither good or bad. They're simply signals from our body and mind. By accepting your emotion, you're setting the stage for understanding and responding effectively. For example, if you feel anger or sadness, simply say to yourself, "This is how I feel right now," and that's okay. Now, dive deeper into understanding your emotion. Emotions can be messy and it can be challenging to make sense of them. So a simple framework for categorizing emotions is to put them into 4 buckets. An emotion can feel pleasant or unpleasant, and it can be high energy or low energy. So an emotion can be a high energy pleasant state, a low energy pleasant state, a high energy unpleasant state, or a low energy unpleasant state. To give you some examples, excitement is a high energy pleasant state, while anger is also high energy but feels unpleasant. On the other side of the arousal spectrum is feeling relaxed, which is a low energy pleasant state, while hopelessness is also low energy but feels very unpleasant. This simple framework can help me cultivate an emotional awareness. Why is this important? It gives you better strategies to navigate through negative emotions. For example, have you ever received the advice to calm down or cheer up when you were angry or sad? Did it ever help you? Yes, for me neither. Changing an unpleasant emotional state just by reason or command is not very effective. This is where the arousal balance framework comes into play. For one, when cultivating your emotional awareness, you take away the negative connotation and start feeling your emotion through this framework. So instead of blaming yourself for getting sad or angry, you accept this emotion. Having an energy level attached to your emotional awareness, you can then regulate it more effectively. Often it's much faster to change your energy level first before trying to change your state from unpleasant to pleasant. So if you pause and take a moment to accept your current emotional charge, you should feel either leaning toward a higher aroused state, which often feels like you want to scream, hit something, or take other often destructive forms of action. Or you lean more on the low energy side that often feels as if you want to hide and do nothing. Once you understand your emotional state, you can switch your energy state using deliberate breathing. Switch your energy state. Once you've identified the energy level, use deliberate breathwork to switch your arousal state. You can use other tools as well, so the framework is very important so that you can develop your own tools. I'm not going over the exact physiological mechanism of how breathing is connected to your autonomic nervous system. You can watch that in this video here, but I give you a short answer here. If you are in a high energy state and you want to calm down, then engage in calm breathing, where you extend the exhalation and bring your respiration rate down. If you're in a low energy state and you want to pull yourself out of it, then engage in vigorous breathing, where you focus on strong and fast inhalations and short passive exhalations. So this is the top level. Now let's go over some specific science-based breathing techniques on how to calm and invigorate ourselves. The physiological sigh is a highly effective breathing pattern that mimics humans and other mammals when they need to calm down. It consists of a double inhale and a long exhalation through the mouth. You can see this breathing pattern often when a small child got really upset and then calms down. Studies showed that just a 5-minute session of physiological sighs can have a great impact on stress regulation and emotional calming. So what about low energy states? How can we deal with that? One of the most effective activities against unpleasant emotions is doing a hard resistance workout or going out for a run. This is because physical activity affects our nervous system. It's not only that, but it's part of it. We change the arousal state first, which then often resolves the unpleasant feeling automatically. But the problem is that we don't always have the energy or time to do a physical activity when a strong, unpleasant emotion arises. One way we can directly influence our autonomic nervous system and change our arousal state is by changing our breathing pattern. So, if you want to reset your nervous system just like a good workout does, engage in cyclic controlled hyperventilation and combine it with extended breath holds. This technique is more famously known as the Wim Hof method breathwork, but has its origins in Kumbhaka pranayama. There are different variations of how to adjust this pattern to specific situations that I cover extensively in my Hormesis method course, but the technique is quite simple. Inhale vigorously 30 to 40 times, hold your breath after an exhalation as long as you comfortably can. Inhale and hold again when you have the urge to breathe. Repeat this for 3 to 4 rounds. I have many guided sessions on this YouTube channel, so just follow one of them. I link one here. Once you've regulated your emotional state, it's time to reflect. Strong emotions often arise from unmet needs. Evaluate. Finally, evaluate the cause of your emotion. What unmet need might be driving this feeling? This step requires reflection. For example, are you feeling disconnected because of a lack of connection or intimacy? Are you frustrated because your need for meaning or purpose isn't being fully met? Taking ownership of your emotions and uncovering the unmet needs behind them allows for constructive solutions and greater emotional intelligence. Marshall D. Rosenberg's nonviolent communication outlines universal human needs such as connection, for example, intimacy, love, and acceptance, the need for autonomy, which includes freedom and spontaneity, the need for meaning, that includes purpose and contribution, and many more. Take time to journal, meditate, or talk to someone about what need was unmet. By addressing these needs, you reduce the likelihood of similar emotional triggers in the future. Regulating your emotions isn't about avoiding discomfort, it's about navigating it with intention. By understanding the 2 arrows of suffering, using the pause framework, and leveraging breathwork techniques, you can build a toolkit to handle life's emotional ups and downs with more autonomy. And if you want to dive deeper into breathwork and mindfulness, check out my free 7-day breathwork and mindfulness course. Thank you for watching and see you next time.